Hi everyone, good morning to all. Today we are going to begin a new chapter. Name of the chapter is Towns, Traders and Crafty Persons. In this chapter, we shall study about the following points. Categorization of towns such as religious or pilgrim towns, trading and port towns, courts and capital towns. New towns and cities, case study of Surat, Hampi and Masulipatam. In the previous classes, we have studied that medieval periods witnessed rapid increase in the population. When the population increased, it resulted in the changes in the existing society. Many large towns and cities emerged in different areas. During the time of various dynasties who ruled India in different times or in different areas, developed cities and towns. Various dynasties ruled in different part of the country during the medieval period, and the rule was more stable as compared to the ancient period. Different dynasties who ruled over different part of the country established or developed various towns and cities. These dynasties and their rule was more stable as compared to the ancient period. Stable government and systemized administration resulted in peace and prosperity. Stable government and systemized administration organized by various dynasties in the medieval period brought peace and prosperity in the regions. It also brought growth in trade and commerce. All these resulted in the growth of number of cities and towns in India. The kings who lived in cities required large number of people for army and officials for their effective administrations. Development of towns and cities required large number of people for the construction of various things like canals, digging of wells, drains, paths and roads, etc. These variety of employment attracted people from different regions. So large number of people migrated to cities and towns in search of different occupations. This migration of people from different regions leads to the development of large cities and towns in India during the period of medieval India. Different dynasties, the Rajaputs, the Delhi Sultans, the Mughal rulers, the British government, and various rulers who ruled India during the medieval period developed various towns and cities. These towns and cities were famous for some particular areas. Some of the cities are very famous for trade and commerce. Some other cities and towns are famous for temples or other religious places. Some other places are famous for pilgrims, and capital cities of every dynasty attract many people from different areas, and they lived in cities and engaged in various occupations. Towns which grew can be classified as religious towns, trading towns, and capital towns. Towns can be classified into three categories: religious towns or pilgrim towns. Religious or pilgrim towns. Next one, trading towns or last one, capital towns. Capital towns. So towns that grew can be classified into three categories: religious or pilgrim towns, trading towns, and capital towns. Today in this session we are going to discuss about religious and pilgrim towns. Religious and pilgrim towns are the towns that grew around huge temple complexes constructed by kings and the landlords. What are religious towns or pilgrim towns? Religious and pilgrim towns are the towns that grew religious, or pilgrim towns are the towns that grew around huge temple complexes constructed by king and landlords. Kings and landlords. Religious and pilgrim temples are the huge temples. Religious and pilgrim towns are the towns that grew around huge temple complexes or other religious buildings constructed by various kings and landlords. They gave rulers and landlords gave large pieces of land and other resources for the construction of temples and other religious places of worship. They organized various cultural festivals and rituals which attracted many people. Kings and landlords or the rich merchants organized cultural festivals and rituals in the city which attracts many people. People from different regions came to visit these places. Some of them permanently settled in these areas. Construction of big buildings required huge number of laborers. Laborers from different regions migrated to these cities and towns. The work took years or many years to complete as the tools were primary and the system of construction was manual. In the medieval period, the system of construction was manual and the tools that they used to construct various temples or other buildings was primary or old one. Once the construction was completed, people called for construction work settled in the areas and took various jobs. People who migrated from different areas settled in the new city and took different occupations. Some of them took the occupation of priest and some others engaged in garland making. Some others engaged in trade and commerce. Musicians, dancers, and many more occupations came up in the new cities. So people once migrated from different areas, settled in the new cities and occupied different occupations. Migration of labor and artists in search of work led to more trade opportunities and development in trade and commerce. The migration of labor from one region to another region or artists in search of their work led to the development of trade and commerce. Some of them carried goods from one place to another place and sold the items there. So thus it resulted the development of trade and commerce. A new opportunity for earning money was developed, trade and commerce. People who went distant lands carried goods and the goods that they carried sold in the other part and collected goods from their areas and sold it to another area, thus they earned the profit. So it was the beginning of new occupations. Trade and commerce were flourished during the period of medieval India. Some of the important towns that associated with the religion or the pilgrim centers are Madura, Vrindavan and Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. These places are famous for temples. Many Hindu believers visiting these places because they consider as these places are important. Many temples constructed in these areas it attract the pilgrims from different areas. Madurai in Tamil Nadu, the Meenakshi temple constructed by the Chola rulers attracted thousands of pilgrims every year. Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh, Tanjore or Tanjavur and Tiruvannamalai in Tamil Nadu also famous for temples. Ajmer in Rajasthan. These are the important religious or pilgrim centers in India. Besides these places, many other religious or pilgrim centers attracted many pilgrims, people from different part of the country and people from abroad visiting these places. These places are mostly associated with the Hindu religion. Besides Hindu religion, many other religions are practicing in India, and they also have pilgrim centers in India. So these pilgrim centers are attracted by various peoples. Pilgrim towns or the religious towns play an important role or important place in social interaction of the people, as these towns were visited by people belonging to different regions and countries. Religious towns or pilgrim towns play an important role in exchanging social ideas between two communities or two countries, because people visiting these areas or these towns belonging to different regions and countries, some of them may settle in the areas permanently. All this led to a social interaction among the people who visited these areas. So it resulted the formation of new culture or new traditions in the areas. Let's wind up today. Tomorrow we will discuss about the trading and port towns in India. Trading and port towns in India. Some of the cities or some of the towns are famous for trade and commerce. We will discuss these cities in a detailed way in the next session.